We now move on and we look at basal metabolic rate, BMR. What is basal metabolic rate? We may have respiration or metabolism occurring in the body of an organism that is active, like during an exercise. You're doing an exercise, you're having a physical activity. You're somewhere, but you're using your brain so much. Therefore, you're having great mental activity. But we may equally have metabolism occurring in the body of an organism that is at rest. The body is at rest. There is no physical activity. There is complete physical rest. There is mental rest. In other words, you're resting, but you are not so much engaged in thoughts. You're not doing a physical activity. Therefore, we say you are at complete mental and physical rest. Now, that rate of metabolism yields, or that metabolism at rest yields energy. Therefore, when you are resting, respiration is occurring as well. Energy is being liberated in your body. So that energy released or liberated by the body at complete mental and physical rest is what we are calling the basal metabolic rate. So it is the energy released when the body is at complete mental and physical rest. This means that at that point, when you are resting, what is that energy used for? It is basically needed for things like brain activity, because the brain continues to function even if you're resting. The heart continues to function, therefore needed for heart rate. Respiration is continuing to occur. Remember, energy is used to manufacture energy in respiration. The kidneys continue to work. The liver continues to work. So particular body systems continue to work even when you are at rest. Therefore, that energy which is released when the body is at rest is what we are calling the basal metabolic rate. The basal metabolic rate. Now, what factors influence BMR? This now brings us to the factors influencing BMR, or the factors that affect the basal metabolic rate. What affects that respiration when you are at rest? Factors affecting BMR. One is heredity or genetics. Heredity. This now brings us to genes. Naturally, there are some people who have higher metabolic rates than others. They are born having the higher metabolic rates. That is as a result of the influence of genes, the genes that they are born with. Therefore, genes may determine bringing about higher metabolic rates in some organisms than others. Two individuals may be of the same size, but when they are all at rest, one has a higher metabolic rate. So that could be as a result of genes. In other words, heredity or genetics. Gender. When we talk of gender, we talk of males and females. Now, when we compare the body of a male and the body of a female, males have a greater muscular mass. There is a greater mass of muscles in males than in females. Also, males have less body fat than females. Females have greater body fat. But we are going to see that the lower the body fat, the higher the BMR. The higher the muscular mass or the mass of muscles, the higher the BMR. This means that males with a greater or a higher muscular mass and less percentage of fat in their bodies definitely have a higher BMR than females. Therefore, BMR is higher in males than in females. The other factor is age. Factor influencing Bmr. Age. The young individuals have a higher metabolic rate. Metabolic rate decreases with age. The older you become, the lower the basal metabolic rate. Those individuals who are very young, the young ones, that active age, they have a higher metabolic rate. But now this means that BMR, metabolism at rest, is higher in the young ones, and it increases with age. Weight. We have individuals who become fat, or they reach a point of becoming obesity. Now, if individuals are obese as a result of too much weight, the weight is too great. This therefore means that if the weight is great, the metabolism or much energy is needed in these individuals in order to bring about body's activities. So the heavier a person becomes, the higher the metabolic rate. Equally, the higher the BMR. The basal metabolic rate increases with increase in weight. Then we have the body surface area and size. Body surface area and size. The size of the organism. And then the surface area of the organism. When we talk of surface area here, we are not talking about surface area to volume ratio. No. We are only looking at the surface area of the organism. This now is related to the size of the organism. Remember, an organism may have a greater size with less weight, especially if the person or the organism is becoming bigger but with a lot of fats. Remember, fats or lipids are light. They are lighter. Being lighter, a person may increase in size but less heavy because of the too much fats. So increase in size does not necessarily mean that the weight will increase. The size may increase, but the weight is not too high. While others, the size increases and the weight also increases. The other factor is body composition. Body composition. What proportion of your body are the fats, are the lipids, are the proteins? There are people who have very many fats. There are others who are lean bodies with little or less fat, but with a lot of protein. Remember, we said the less the composition of fat or the percentage of fat, the higher the basal metabolic rate. And the higher the fat composition, then the lower the BMR. This now brings us to the body fat composition as a factor on its own, which we've already explained. That the lower the fat percentage, the higher the BMR. While the higher the fat percentage, the lower the BMR. The other factor is diet. What do you feed on? There are organisms that take in foods with less fat, others with too much fat, others with a diet that is rich in proteins, others with a diet rich in carbohydrates. Therefore, the diet, what you feed on, also determines the basal metabolic rate. There are people we call vegetarians who don't take meat. But there are others, the non-vegetarians, the ones who take meat. Now when we compare the metabolism of the two, the vegetarians and the non-vegetarians. Depending now, if the non-vegetarians take in food with less fat, then that will mean that their BMR is higher. But if they take in foods with fat, because we have non-meat foods with fats, there are particular foods that have fats like the castor oils and so on. So depending on what they are equally taking in, we see that all is rotating around the fat composition. So equally even diet will determine our rate of metabolism, and equally or in turn determine the basal metabolic rate.